Getting ready to record a podcast here in a couple of minutes with hashtag Scotty G. So getting things set up. So hang tight, spread the word. We're going to get started in just a second. Hey, Rhonda Lee, getting ready to start. Just getting a few things set here. Dun, 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 dun. $5 foot long. Do, 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 $5. $5 foot long. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Jessica, Susie. We're going to get started here in just a minute. The final touches on some things here. Forget to do this stuff before I go on the air. Hey, Andrea. Colorado in the house. Tomorrow's already the 21st. Holy cow. How did that happen? $5 foot. Do, 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 $5. $5. $5 foot. Do, 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 do. We're going to be starting here in just a second. This is going to be a crazy trip report with Scott, so you don't want to miss this one. So hang out. Go grab something to eat real quick. Had Panda Express for dinner, and I have some heartburn. Baby. Subway song stuck in my head. $5 foot long. Do, 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 do. $5. $5 foot long. Do, 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 do. $5. Hey, Jessica. Oh my gosh, we had a great time. It was awesome. I mean, how lucky when you get to spend time with one of your kids by themselves. It was a lot of fun. All right, almost there. Oops, wrong button. That's good enough for now. Okay. Hello, hello. I am back from Disney. This is not going to be about me, though. We did those shows. This is going to be about Scotty G. He was down there way longer than I was, but actually his trip has to do with my trip. He's the reason he stayed. So we'll talk about it. It's crazy. But he stayed at 4 different resorts. He stayed at all DVC resorts, but some he used DVC points, some he booked on cash. It was crazy. Hey, Patty. Let's get everybody up here on the screen. Get you some recognition. Rhonda Lee up in Canada. There's Amanda. I love that little hand wave. Hello, Amanda. Oh, Jessica's here. Is that Round Rock, Texas? Susie's here. Repping the SEC tonight. Andrew's here from Colorado. Jessica's here. Yeah, Andrea, he did basically move. I told him he has Florida residency now that he was down there so long. Because actually, he was there longer than what I talked about. We'll talk about that. Linnaire's over on YouTube. That's pretty sweet. We just got that ability to do that here recently. Over on the YouTube. Hey, Patty. Heather's here. What's up, Heather? Cute picture. Kimberly's listening from New York. Holy cow. I'm just a guy here in Missouri. You're in New York City where it's all happening. Scotty G's getting ready to come in. Told him to be ready. He's got an audience waiting patiently for him as he finishes dinner because I sent it out earlier. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Michael, you're going to love that. I know. Is it sad that I'm super excited about when I have grandkids to take them, spoil them at Walt Disney World? I don't want that yet because I'm only 22, but it'll be fun when that time comes. Heather's here from the Mitten, and so is Scotty G, East Lansing, where apparently they told all the kids at least East Lansing, stop, don't come to campus, stay home. We're going to do it virtually the other day. Crazy. Marless is here. Hey, speaking of New York. What, Andrew's leaving Facebook to go to YouTube? I don't care as long as you're here. And I hope it works the same on YouTube. I haven't had a chance to check it out. I hope everything's fine over there. That's where I hear that's where all the kids are. I just do it actually to make Mallory, like, to horrify her that her dad's on YouTube. Wade's here, Lincoln, Nebraska. Happy anniversary. I believe it's 31 years. I saw a picture today on Instagram. Hey, Scotty G, he sneaks down there all the time. He could be. I'm just saying. But I think he's in the Mitten because I see him on Find My Friends. I'm pretty sure he's in Lansing. All right, here he is. He's knocking. Let's get him in the stream. We have all kinds of fans just waiting for their hashtag Scotty G. And there he is.
Tuned into the radio hour with Mike and Scott.
Today's actually National Radio Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there we go. We could do a morning show for like 3 hours, like a morning zoo.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Just looking at my new medals I got, ready to hang them up.
Dude, that Space Mountain medal is sweet. Show those off real quick before we get. So,
hold on one second.
Okay, hang on. You gotta see these medals. You get the virtuals. Everything's A-okay on the YouTube. Very good to hear. Thanks for reporting in, Linnea. Appreciate that. Gosh, you can hear the medals. He sounds like he just got done with Dopey.
I know, that's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
Blank.
Here's the one you like.
Oh my gosh, this one kills me. Look at that sucker. I know it's hard to get. I can never tell which way to move things on the camera.
I know, it's sweet.
That one is super sweet. That one, they need to make that a real medal.
I know.
Like in a real race, like for real. That is awesome.
I think I'm going to take these down and like take my photo in front of Space Mountain with
this.
I
totally would. Oh, that medal is sweet, man. Okay, so I didn't know what the other one worked. I was like, that one.
The teacup one is pretty sweet.
That makes me. Oh, that one is sweet. I can't ride the ride because it makes me barf. But yeah.
It's kind of funny on the back how it has like this open, because like stained glass or something. It's really weird. It's transparent, but it says 2020 on it. It's pretty cool.
Do you think they were going to use those at all ever for like a real race?
I don't know.
Those are sweet.
I normally don't do the virtuals. Like I did the inaugural one because it was Mickey and it was the first one, so I wanted to do it. And then I did the Incredibles one because we like the Incredibles. But then I saw these were attraction ones. Like I was all in.
You should have done that, and I got remorse. What's that? Is that
Madame the Yoda?
Yeah, that's really
dude. The shape of this one is really weird too. It's super cool, and it says 5 years running. I love the anniversary years.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me.
And then the ticket book. The ticket book I thought was pretty sweet too.
Now, what's that? Because okay, what are they all for? They're all for like a 5K, and then that's like the 3 5Ks together.
Yeah, so it's like any like Run Disney race down there, like a challenge, you know. So I did the 10K and a half, so I get my challenge medal.
Yeah, that's sweet. Oh, killing me at those. Marlesa's waiting for her haunted mansion, so now she knows what it looks like.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I got to tell a story. Like I was on a call, like this. This is in the office where I work. I'm on a call with my boss, and I see the FedEx truck rolling up, and I'm like, oh, I know that's the medals because I've seen other people getting them this week. And I'm just like, oh, that guy's got my. I told her like, oh man, this guy's about to deliver some sweet Run Disney medals. He goes up halfway up and just throws it. He just like chucks it at the door. Like I almost chased him. Like there's a ding on these medals, man. So.
They get all scratched up down to Disney like we do Dopey and stuff.
Exactly.
You clang into each other. Yeah,
my first marathon one, your first Dopey, that medal was so jacked up because I think I slept with it, you know.
Like trying to take it off of the metal detector ride home on the plane. No,
you're not. I know you're not taking that thing off me.
Oh my gosh! So what's going on up there?
Not much. Our air conditioner went out like the other day, and I was like, oh my God! Like I noticed it yesterday. Because it's been kind of cool, so we've had like the windows open.
Yeah. It's been nice here.
But I tried golf yesterday. I really noticed it, and then all we had to do was just flip the breaker switch. Like I was like all over, like freaking out.
That's the cheapest fix ever.
Father-in-law comes over, and
no, he did it.
Yeah, he did it.
Of course.
It's the worst.
Father-in-law's like, you idiot.
Yeah. I know.
It didn't cost me $10,000.
Exactly. But going pretty well. Weather's been awesome.
Same here. The high today was like 79. It's crazy for August because our normal high is 90.
Yeah. Just to slam some Chinese food, so feeling good.
Yeah, I Panda Express. Dude,
Dude, we are one and the same.
I went up there. I'm so influenced by Instagram. So like today on Instagram, I was getting the ad. You have Panda Express up there, right?
Yeah.
They have this thing. It's called honey glazed like chicken or honey walnut chicken or something. It is like I've only had it a few times and it is so good. But the last couple times I've gone there, it's off the menu. I got an ad for it today on Instagram. It's back. It's like a big, big picture on their menu board as you pull in. Nope, they're sold out for the day. I was like,
oh my God.
So then I had to get the spicy chicken.
Yeah. Marlessa is right though, man. I remember when she was tweeting at you about those medals.
I know.
But you're right. Like
should have.
Like I love all the Run Disney medals, but it would be so cool if they did like an attraction theme one. Like I guess they did the Tower of Terror one, you know.
Yeah, I have all those. Yeah. Super cool too, because like the little shaft went up and down on them.
Yeah. But like this Magic Kingdom or Disneyland themed medals, like I think is super cool.
Oh, those would sell out in a blink.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be crazy. Oh, okay. So this is going to be the Labor Day show for a couple reasons. One, because I already have 2 shows recorded for Mondays already.
Yeah.
And because it's going to be all about how you work down there and all days and stuff.
Putting in that hard labor.
Yeah, exactly.
And then people are going to be finding like, oh my God, another episode about this trip.
I know. We're not talking about my trip. We're talking about all the stuff you did.
Okay.
I've wore mine out. Trust me.
Yeah, I should bring us some
mileage out of that trip. So as long as Riley doesn't bark, because Paige and Pam are both out doing DoorDash right now.
I know.
But
yeah, you might hear Oliver bark. Yesterday was his birthday. So
no.
And we didn't take him to get ice cream. We always take him to get ice cream on his birthday.
Yeah, Pup Cup. That's what we get Riley.
Okay.
Pup Cup.
Bring up my Google Photos real quick.
Big Brother starts in 58 minutes. Not that matter because I already know who's going home. Who wants to know who's going home on Big Brother? Even though nobody really knows, but I know who packed her bags. Oh, I shouldn't have said
man.
I just gave it away.
Oh man, we did a lot of stuff, didn't we?
You did. Okay, so we'll talk about kind of how this all started and then just talk about all 4 resorts and all the stuff you guys did. Oh, he just disappeared. He's gone. Where'd he go? I lost you. That's how these things go. This was like my wife today doing her training for teaching virtually today. Like people just disappear. We'll get them back. Let me text Scotty. Maybe does someone do it? Oh, he's back. Dude, I thought you just didn't want to do the show. Okay. I was like, okay, I guess he just didn't want to do the show.
That's weird. I could hear everything you were saying, and I'm like, I'm here.
I know you're like, look at my Google Photos. It's like,
I know, like, and I had like a strong internet the whole time. My gosh, I hope this doesn't happen.
Well, that was probably wouldn't you? I don't think. I would doubt.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, let's get this thing on the road. Let's see. So she's asleep. Sweet, the dog. All right. 1759. Here we go. Welcome to episode 1759 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you and happy Labor Day. Holy cow. How did that happen that summer is now over unofficially? But it is the day to kind of chill out and not work. You need to get out there and get in that last grill session. Maybe sit on the hammock out there, but we're going to talk about working at Walt Disney World and actually almost a change of address to become a Florida resident. This is a crazy trip report. I've been wanting to do this one for a few weeks. We had to kind of get back and get settled, but you know him. He's my best bud up in the mitten. We have hashtag Scotty G joining us today. What's up, Scott?
Hey, Mike, how's it going? Happy to be on the show and finally talk about this epic trip, man. This one was crazy.
I know. I thought we might have to do this one over like a series of months because you were there so long, but we're gonna sneak in all the highlights here on this Labor Day special, which most people will probably be listening to on Tuesday because you just got to chill on Labor Day. But this is gonna be a fun one, and let's hop in because we got so much to talk about. 4 resorts, 2 weeks down at Walt Disney World. So, and you were actually in Florida before you even went to Disney.
I was.
So give us kind of how this all happened because this was not something that was planned 6 months out.
No, absolutely not. And just a comment, like, yeah, I can't believe Labor Day is here already, but it's been like the longest year. You know what I mean? Isn't that just like a weird feeling?
It is. I know it's so weird. Like 2020's lasted 7 years, but the summer seemed to go quickly. So
exactly. That's how life just goes sometimes. But yeah, just a real high level on this because this really wasn't a Disney part of the trip, but just to kind of like tee it up, So, we travel a lot. We had some plans. Like everyone has had plans in 2020. Those plans, as everything in this world and this country, got canceled. So, we canceled our plans and we were still wanted to do something this summer. We were going to travel with some friends and we grouped together and we said, let's still try to do something. So we decided to go to Florida and just rent a house and just have food delivered, never leave the house, just hang out at the pool and just chill. So we did that for a week, which was awesome. But being so close to Walt Disney World as a Walt Disney World nut like we are, I kind of set it up oh, Liz, we're right there. We flew to MCO. We're checking out on a Saturday from the house, a Saturday to Saturday, 7 nights. So I said, let's just do 2 nights, Riviera, DVC, whatever we can find, and then we'll just go home just to get a little taste. We don't have to go to the parks. We can just see the Riviera. We want to stay there, So I had those 2 nights on, and I tell you, so we rented a car. So we had a car because we didn't want to we were just, Florida was kind of crazy at that time. We just kind of wanted to be in our own rental car. Didn't want to do a limo or transportation like that or Uber. So we rented a car and it just parked at the house the whole week, but still. So we checked out, said goodbye to our friends and all that. And then we drove towards Disney property. And when we got under those gates, man, my soul just got so happy. You know what I mean? It was just hello, good friend. I haven't seen you in so long. And it just, with the year that we've all had in 2020, it was just so good for the soul to see the Walt Disney World sign.
Well, too, and so this was just to kind of put this in context for folks that maybe listen to the 6 months down, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, years after they were published. We're talking, you went down to meet up with friends at the house in late July, and this carried into early August of 2020.
Yeah, good point. I didn't talk about that. I think it was July 18th. It was near the mid, so July 18th to the 25th or something like that. Saturday to Saturday, and the house is great. It was super hot in Florida, but yeah. So then we had 2 nights at the Riviera. So we checked in. And we met a good friend down there, Teresa, who's now a Florida resident, even though I was trying to become a Florida resident on this trip. So she was having dinner with some friends at, I always forget the name of that restaurant, the Riviera, Topolino. Yeah.
Yes.
So they were having dinner there. So we met up with them and had some drinks, had another drink. I was getting loose and I was thinking you know what, Liz, we should just stay here longer. Call your boss, Jess, who's in the chat right now. Call her up. I'll call mine up. We have our work stuff. Let's just stay a few more days longer. And I forgot to say, during this week, you had them on a couple months ago. Robert and Erica were down at Disney, and they were texting you and me.
Yeah,
like,
let me stop you there for 1 second. This Robert and Erica had a big snowball effect on all this, and I think me going down has influenced a couple other people that I know to go, like, because of Robert and Erica's like really nice capturing of the spirit of how it was like late July. I think a lot of folks have gone. Disney needs to call them up in Tennessee. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they need to get some kind of reimbursement or extra DVC points or something. Yeah, because he was texting us all those photos, and you're like, dang, I'm going to go down, like those dates you were talking about, like August 5th or wherever you ended up going down, and you were trying to get me to, and I'm like, well, dang, I'm already here. So, and we had our work stuff, and you just did that episode about working at Disney. I'm like, should we try it? So as the snowball effect worked, I called you up. I'm like, Mike, I'm thinking about extending. If you really want us to come down and, crash during Mallory's trip, like I'm all for it. I just don't want to fly back to Michigan and fly back down like a week later, like, I mean, I felt super safe traveling on Delta and everything, but the less travel or the less times I had to be on a plane, like I'm all for it,
Yeah. And the whole thing too was, I was telling you, I knew you were down there, and my wife and I, we knew you guys were going to be going to Walt Disney World and probably staying longer than you planned, because it's just we know
that's my MO. I do it all the time.
Like, it's not the first time we've seen this happen with you guys. And I mean, I'd have done the same thing, but I kept telling you, I'm like, look, I'm just taking Mallory. Paige can't make it because Mizzou Athletics is so in flex. She has to be here to be out there. If she needs to be out there in 2 hours, she can't go. Pam didn't want to go with all the school virtual stuff that she was doing. So I was like, it's just Mallory and I. Was like, if Elizabeth can't get off, just bring down Emily. It'll be like a dad and daughter thing. I was like, flights are dirt cheap. Go home, come back.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I'm just staying. I'm like, well, you've been there since the middle of July. But it was awesome in the end. So glad you did. So, okay. So you went to the Riviera first. Yeah. So talk to us about your 4 stays and how they compared, because you basically did the DVC Grand Tour.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you how I had to kind of set it up one more time though. So like a lot of things had to happen too. So I told Elizabeth, so this was on Saturday where I started kicking it around, and then Sunday is when we had to like make all the moves, like all the logistics. So there's 4 things that had to happen. I had to change the flight without like a crazy fee, because Delta will charge you like $200. I had to confirm, which I was pretty certain that they were waiving change fees because of COVID. So that had to happen. We had a rental car. Yeah. I wanted to make sure like how much this rental car was going to be. Like we went from 7 nights to 22 nights on a rental car, like I'm leasing it at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it had a boot on it, or there's an APB out for you. Like
exactly. Yeah. So Elizabeth booked that. So I had to talk to her, like, can you get them on the phone and see, like, is it going to be an extraordinary cost to turn in this rental car? I had to check on our dog. So we have a dog, and my in-laws were watching, like, are they going to be cool watching this dog for 2 more weeks? And then I had to check into my mom. My mom hasn't been feeling that well, so I had to make sure, like, were there any, like, severe appointments I had to get her to or anything like that? And I'm in line for Splash Mountain that Sunday, and then, like, we kind of arranged all 4 things while we're in that line. And then I called you or texted you, I was like, all right, start booking me some rooms.
I was like, he's really doing this. This is crazy.
Yeah. So we started with the Riviera. So you and I actually spent some time there with my family over Marathon weekend. We had a couple meals there, played some bocce. Really enjoyed the resort, and I just wanted to get a better taste of it, So we had a studio there, and I tell you, I loved the studio. It has one of those awesome, like, Murphy beds, one of those that you pull from the wall. And unlike the one at Pop Century, it's more like a couch, so it felt more useful to me. Like, I know we've talked about the table on other episodes before.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. But so I liked how that space was there, like with the couch. So it was really useful. Emily slept there. She really loved it. It's just a gorgeous resort. You got the Skyliner right there. We went to the studios from there. We had a completely different experience than the one you talked about coming from Pop. And I think it's just because you have, I don't know if maybe because all the lines start at the same time, and maybe Riviera is closer, obviously, to the station that we didn't, when we got to the main Caribbean Beach station, we didn't have that crazy line that we had to get back into. So the gondolas, the Skyliner, which worked really well from there, and it's just a beautiful resort, great dining. I love the counter service there, and it was just a spectacular place to spend 2 nights.
Now, let me ask you this too, as you were kind of bringing this all to fruition, at Splash Mountain and getting things set. I know that while you were down there, well, we'll kind of talk about this as we go though, but I mean, did you set up like ADRs initially? Did you kind of roll with those as you went? I mean, There's not a lot of planning that has to be done now. Of course, you got to make your park reservations immediately. I think, I made ours and you matched for the end of your trip, the ones that I got with Mallory for those 5 days, but you had to make those. So how was it as far as planning? Like, bam, like right now, like I'm at Walt Disney World. I got to plan for the rest of the week.
Absolutely. So we had a pretty good strategy there because we knew we were going to be working. So we had that Monday off because that was the day we were going to come home. So we were like, okay, that day, I mean, we went to the studios in the morning, but we had to figure out like, okay, how are we gonna have breakfast? How are we gonna have lunches? This is gonna get really expensive if we're going eating Disney 3 meals a day for 15 days, So
you've already bought a rental car at this point.
Exactly. So we had the rental car, so we went to Publix and bought just like cereal, like bagels, things to make breakfast with, a whole bunch of eggs. And like soda, I'm a big Diet Pepsi drinker. Bottled water is 110 degrees down there, so we definitely need the water. And just like stuff for lunches, we bought deli meat. So that was a smart move to just help us save money. But then we're like, well, so what are we going to do after work? And so the thought was, because of the staggered park hours right now with Animal Kingdom at the time that we were down there, I know that's changing here really soon, was opening till 6. Magic Kingdom 7, etc. So we worked till 5 o'clock. So we're like, the Animal Kingdom is out. Like, there's no way we can work and go to Animal Kingdom. And Emily, like, we all love that park, so we knew, well, we'll book that for a Saturday or Sunday when we can attack it for a full day. You know what I mean? So basically, we just said, well, Epcot and the studios are open the latest, so let's just alternate those every day. And we threw in like a Magic Kingdom one night. We figured we can get a late ADR at Liberty Tree, which is what we ended up doing, and just see the castle and just eat, like it felt like such a local thing, like I'm just going to hop over to the Magic Kingdom for dinner tonight.
That is true. You're telling me you were totally living the locals' life because you would work and then you would just hop over to attractions and dinner, and I'm back at my, hotel.
So the next move we made, so from the Riviera, like we talk about all the time on this podcast, where we own there for DVC, and it's Old Key West. I just love it. Talking about the soul making you happy. Like, you and I joke about this, but it's not really joking. Like, they have the best stretch of palm trees you'll ever see.
I love those palm trees right there along the main drag. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're just gorgeous. They reflect from the water. And the Sasagula boats aren't running right now, but if they were, like, you can get that's just the perfect when one of those boats goes by too. So we want to stay at Old Key West, and you helped us book that. So thank you, Magic for Less and Mike. You guys are all awesome.
Appreciate it.
One of the things we really wanted was a 1-bedroom because my wife and I were both going to be working. So if we were both in the studio, we're on meetings like this and conference calls, I was going to get a little chaotic. We have our daughter who needs to be entertained, Actually, she does it all by herself. She doesn't need us.
Give Emily a book and she's happy.
Exactly. Plus, when we were at that house that we rented, like, she bought a bunch of craft stuff anyway. So she already had like all these perler beads and things that she was going to do anyway. So, and we actually ended up going to Joann Fabrics when we went to Publix to buy her some crafty stuff.
You guys are so lucky. She's such a good kid.
I know. So Old Key West has this great, like, big 1-bedroom space. Like, those are the biggest 1-bedrooms, I think, on property that are most comfortable for us. So Elizabeth basically sat like in the main like living unit, like at the kitchen table, and then I sat in the like the bedroom area, like with the king bed. And I had an ottoman in there, so I just put my feet up, had my laptop on my lap, and then there was a dresser in there too that the chair could work pretty well. So I would just kind of like, actually no, the chair didn't, so I would just like kind of stand up and work on the dresser, but it worked out really well. And then, we would just make lunches in there. And one day we did go to Olivia's, though, because I had to have that chicken. The chicken is the best at Olivia's.
Let me jump in there. Now, when you decided, because you had the studio at the Riviera, you went to the 1-bedroom to give you a little more space. And of course, I've always heard, and I've only been in the 2-bedroom, which was gigantic when we stayed together down there. But I've heard, Old Key West has the bigger units kind of all around. Now, also, talk about, because the reason I thought you initially went with the 1-bedroom was because of the laundry in the room, because you guys didn't pack to be gone for this long.
You're right.
Laundry became essential, right? I mean, you wanted to.
That was huge. Yeah, I totally skipped by that, and you're absolutely right. And not only was it the space so that we have like private areas for working when we're on calls, it was the laundry. I packed like 5 shirts, man. I mean, I did buy some while I was down there, but yeah, if you look at like photos of me, like I wear like the same shirt like 5 times. But yeah, that's a great call. We needed the laundry, and that was critical. Now so Old Key West, just to talk about it, I mean, it's great as always. Like, I love the main pool. I love Olivia's. The grounds there are just great. I love like the Caribbean, like Jimmy Buffett, like background music that going on there. Everything about it is just makes my heart happy. But like I like the resort hop and I like to see new experiences and like switch it up. So my strategy was we'll check in there on Tuesday, work there through Friday, because I didn't want to change resorts on a day we had to work because like your room's not going to be available, you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So the strategy then was we'll switch resorts on Saturday just to get a new feel. And we switched to Boardwalk, which I love Boardwalk. I love that area. But the problem was like the villa is just, it felt so small after being at Old Key West. And like Elizabeth was like, this is the worst decision you ever made. We should have just stayed at Old Key West.
Well, you had to get that once out of 3 weeks. I mean, come on.
I know. I can't always be husband of the year, right?
I got to mention this though, because while you were still at Old Key West, you sent me a text one day and it said something like, you know, you showed your setup, you know, how you're working in the 1 bedroom over at Old Key West. You're like, yeah, we just sent Emily down to Goods to Go. She's getting some lunch and hanging out at the pool. Like, I mean,
she loved it. And she was telling you about it, how she met this 85-year-old lady named Barb, and they were talking about Raglan Road and Olivia's.
Like this is like, you know, we say that Old Key West. I believe this. Like when you go in Old Key West, it does feel more like a community than a hotel. It feels like you're living in like some retirement subdivision or something. You know, some great. What I mean, and then when you said that, I'm like, man, you've taken this to the next level. The kids going down to the store, got some lunch, hanging out at the community pool.
Yeah, exactly. One nice thing too, and we've talked about this, and I'm kind of all over the place. I'm going to talk about the parks a little bit too, but I kind of want to just focus on the resorts because you've done a lot of park talking.
Yeah.
But with the parks ending early, the pools are critical to us because you want something to do. And thankfully, the quiet pools at Old Key West were open till 11 o'clock. So every night we would just go for a dip. It was spectacular, and it was quiet enough. Like, I mean, they were true quiet pools. Like, I don't think anyone else was ever in the quiet pool when we were. And Old Key West has a lot of options there too. It's just not the one that had like 3 or 4.
That quiet pool thing will change later, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, later in the trip it will. Yeah, for sure. And we did that at the Riviera too. It's kind of weird there because I know you've been there. Like the main pool is like pretty much right next to the quiet pool. It's like the most random thing to me. But I love both of those pools there. But yeah, so great time at Old Key West. And then on that Saturday, so now we've been in Florida for 2 weeks. Well, now we're making the next leg of our trip. So we had house, we had Riviera, we've had Old Key West, which feels like a house. Another thing about Old Key West I was going to talk about with the rental car. Like I always love having a rental car at Old Key West because you were just talking about how it's like a neighborhood, kind of a village. You can just park right up in front of your villa. It's the best thing. I mean, the Disney transportation is great. Don't get me wrong. The bus service there is kind of iffy because it's like so many stops. Mm-hmm. And they could just take a while, but I just love parking right in front of your villa. It's one of the best things about Old Key West compared to the other deluxe resorts because you got to park in the main parking lot and you still got to walk like a mile, it seems like, but then you're just like 100 steps from your room pretty much there.
So then Boardwalk though, and it was smaller because you were so you've gone studio to 1 bedroom back to a studio.
Yeah. No. So we had a 1 bedroom still at Boardwalk.
1 bedroom at Boardwalk. That's right.
It's just their living space is so much smaller than Old Key West, and it was just, I don't know. We just went from like this big space to a small space. It worked out really well. Like our location was really great. We're right next to a quiet pool, so it was really awesome to just swim there after night. Emily did a couple crafts, so she would go to the community center while we were working. But I'll tell you, like I learned something on our trip at the Boardwalk. So the first day, like, you know, I go up early, go for a walk and all this. And then I would my tip for working at Walt Disney is like sign in early to make sure your internet connection is good and all that. So I would sign in early. All right, I'm good here. I'm going to go for a little walk. And then the first day there, that Monday, I came back and all of a sudden I was kicked out of our system at work. I'm like, oh no, like what's going on? And Elizabeth says like, yeah, I can't log in. I'm like, I don't know. Like, do we need to go to a public area? Do we need to do hotspots? Like, what do we need to do? So Elizabeth calls the front desk in quotes. And they're like, she's just saying like, hey, the internet's not working here, blah, 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 blah. And like, I didn't know this existed. They're like, let us put you through our IT like support group.
No, really? So you know what, with Disney, I'd be like, no, please don't, but go ahead.
Exactly. So they put us through the IT and we opened up a ticket like we would at work almost, like calling a help desk. They're like, well, let's get a ticket open for you. And so the internet wasn't working. I had like an important meeting I had to go to. So I ended up going to like the Bellevue Lounge, which is an awesome place to work. I'm just saying.
I remember you sent me that picture. I'm like, you are not working.
Yeah. I was working. But yeah, but it was awesome though. Like it was so quiet. It had that 1930s, 40s jazz music background going. It was perfect. So I went to the Bellevue and Elizabeth is texting me and she's like, oh my God, so someone knocked out like the Wi-Fi at the boardwalk because I was still having problems over there. Like I had to use the hotspot. So apparently someone just knocked out the whole system and then someone ended up coming to our room. Apparently there's a router in every room, which I didn't know. Like it was like buried somewhere. The guy like went behind a wall and like he tightened up the cables for the router and then all of a sudden it worked perfectly and we were fine the rest of the week. But
I blame it on the NBA bubble. They're having a big party across the way. And
exactly. Yeah.
But the boardwalk though, now you did, I would imagine that was a good place to be as far as like when your day's over, then you can walk to the studios or just walk into Epcot. I mean, that had to have been a plus, right? I mean, the smaller quarters, but that's nice once the workday's over.
Yep. That was part of the reason why I wanted to go there too. Cause we knew those were the parts we were going to after work because they were open the latest. So yeah, we just walked over to Epcot one day and then we walked over to the studios the other. And like, we had the perfect room to like walk to the studios because we were like right on that path that, you know, you run it like during the marathon or any training run that you do over there. I mean, we were actually closer to the studios than we were to International Gateway from where our room was. So it was awesome just walking to the studios from there.
Been there. We got soaked one time coming back from winning that back door. Whew.
Yeah, we did. But what was cool about that too is like, so we would work. And so one day we went to the studios, we had Mama Melrose for dinner. We did a couple of attractions. And as we wrapped up dinner at Mama Melrose, it was like 7:40. So we're like, hey, we might be able to like sneak in like a ride or a Slinky Dog or something. So we walked over to the Slinky Dog. We walked right on, rode it, had an awesome time. It was like 7:55. And we're like, should we just do it again? And then we just did it again. Like it was so awesome, just like closing down the parks every night. And then with those low crowds, I know the crowds have increased a little bit since then. It's probably because of you, me, and Robert is why like everyone's down there now.
At least 1% bump. Yeah, I think for real. Now, let me ask you one thing because you bring that up. The one thing I noticed was that we've never had to really worry about in the past just because of how the times are and how the park hours are, and especially for folks that are going down now in September in the fall, is that you find yourself with a little bit more time after the parks close. Like, what am I going to do? I mean, and you guys this is one of those trips where you truly had time on your hands. You had you were there forever. So did you find yourself like hanging out in the villa or, wherever you were back at your hotel, whichever place you were at, and, board games, just hanging out, watching TV? And because there isn't a lot to do after the parks close, you can go to Disney Springs. That's kind of iffy. It's kind of crowded sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
The pools are closing earlier at some places. So how'd you feel your time like after the park closed?
Yep. So the pools at first were like the big thing, especially at Key West, and the boardwalk ended up getting crazy at night when the main pool closed. Like everyone went to the quiet pool by our house because it felt like a house at that point. I was living there. So we didn't do too much quiet pool swimming at the boardwalk, but the key was we had the 1-bedroom villa. So we would pop some microwave popcorn and just watch a movie. And it just felt so homey to do that. Because that's what you could do. I mean, we had a car. We could probably have drove somewhere or just drove around but we just it just felt like being at home, even though that's all we've done in 2020 is just be at home.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the selling point they always put in the DVDs, or when they used to give out the planning DVDs, was like, stay in a DVC Villa Resort. It's home away from home. And they show people, like you say, having meals there, watching movies, playing board games. But the thing is, when you stay for 4 or 5 nights, that opportunity never comes up because you're going so hard.
Never does.
Yeah. Chance. Yeah.
Oh my God, you nailed it though. Like that's totally what it, because you see like grandpa over there smiling, making breakfast, and like who makes like crazy gourmet breakfast before like going to the Magic Kingdom?
Exactly. Like get up 3:30. Come on, grandpa.
I should have called Disney and told them, like, hey, you guys want to film a promo shoot with our masks on and stuff?
Yes.
But speaking of the mask, though, so like I would walk around the boardwalk, like in Old Key West with my mask. Like I felt totally safe. So I know you hit on this a little bit, but it was super hot. It was smoking hot. But you and I, like, we've been there during summer. We know what it's like to be down there in summer. And honestly, like the mask, like, yeah, like it may have been a little bit discomforting at times, but it felt like, to me, honestly, like no different than like a normal summer. Like you walk out the door, you got sweat instantly dripping down your back, like I'm just kind of used to that a little bit. So if you're not used to the heat being down there, the mask might have a little, impact on you, but it's the toughest thing is just battling the heat, I think, personally.
I agree. And I mean, you nailed it because you brought this up while we were down there. We're discussing like, God, it just feels a little bit hotter this time. But the thing is that because of these modified park hours where parks are open at 10 or 11 o'clock, you want to be there because, I mean, by 10 or 11, you're ready to go to a park if that's where you're going that day. And the thing is, I'm never in a park. You're never in a park at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but you're kind of forced to be in the park when you get there, and it opens at 11. Yeah. That's what we saw.
Yeah, we definitely saw that last day we were at Epcot. Because I never enter Epcot at 11 o'clock, and especially in the summertime. But that's what was nice about the work. We sign out at 5 o'clock, and so I've been there every summer for a few years now, and you see the Florida rainstorm. Like, I don't know if it's because of the hurricane that was coming by, but like the storms were bad that whole week we were there. But what was nice for us, we were working during those storms. And by the time we got out 5 o'clock at work, it cooled down significantly. Like the sun was like already like kind of blocked behind a cloud. Like I never had to put sunscreen on for those days. It was actually really nice. Those Florida storms can like really help you out.
Okay, so let me ask you about this because the last place you stayed, and then we'll talk some because you want to mention about the park, so I'll make sure we get that all in too. But you went after Boardwalk over to Wilderness Lodge, over to Boulder Ridge, because and this is kind of interesting because a lot of people, when I met you, because this is where you were when I came down, we were staying at Pop Century, but a lot of people are curious about this because Wilderness Lodge, the lodge itself is closed. It's one of the resorts that's closed, yet you were there on the DVC side. So what is it like staying at a resort that is, well, Boardwalk same way, but what's it like when you're there in the DVC portion with the main hotel closed? Like, what did you feel? Did it still feel alive? What'd you think?
So, because I'm not super familiar with the Wilderness Lodge, but I think the really only way to get to the DVC part is you still have to go through the main lobby. Like, I don't think there's like a side entrance. I mean, I think if you went to the cabins, you could, but we always went through like the main lobby, and it just felt weird because you're used to Whispering Canyon being kind of loud and rowdy, and you walk in there and there's like, I don't know, 10 tables going on. And
yeah, exactly. Because I met you there a bunch of times. We hung out there while we were there. And the thing was, you're right. That's exactly it. Like Whispering Canyon is always packed with like, a whole nother herd waiting to get in, like a whole nother seating outside waiting for their ADRs to come up. And then you look in because you can see right into obviously Whispering Canyon, and you would see like, 10 tables sat or 8 tables sat in the whole place. You just saw things like that were kind of unsettling for folks that have seen it for a decade.
Exactly.
There's never an empty table because it's not like we were joking. Like, what if you asked for ketchup? Because they probably can't bring you the ketchup.
No. Yeah. It'll be like in a little cup.
Get 1,000 Pipkins or something.
Exactly. I go through ketchup like crazy. But then, so that felt weird, and then you go to the pool and then it felt normal, like, oh, these are where all the people are. And maybe that's because maybe Wilderness Lodge just brings a lot of like those visitors that are just there to have dinner, like maybe that's why the lobby always feels as chaotic as it does sometimes, where like the resort guests are doing all the other amenities, they're at the pool, they're at the lounge, they're at Geyser Point, so that did feel weird. I'll comment on the Boardwalk too. That felt really weird. Like one lunch, so I went down to the Boardwalk Pizza. I never had a pizza from there, or if we did, it was like years ago. So I thought that'd be a good lunch one day. So it's 12 o'clock, middle of the day. I walk over there like I'm the only cat walking on the boardwalk. Like at 12 o'clock.
That is, I know that's
nuts.
You'll catch that if you go down just in different places. Like you might be in the Magic Kingdom over by the Carousel of Progress, and you're like, there's not anybody within 500 yards of me right now. It's weird. I mean, just in certain places, but you're right. Like the Boardwalk, it's hustle and bustle all the time, except right now. Yeah.
So what was interesting about that too, as you and I love running the Boardwalk. We have that great memory where we ran the canceled half through that area.
Yes.
But so one night I did my normal run, and then I got to where Beach and Yacht Club meet up, and like, oh, there's this blue tarp. I wonder what's happening over here. So obviously the NBA at that time was at Yacht Club. So then I would just turn around, and then where you would get up to that bridge with the Swan and Dolphin. You had that huge bridge, and you couldn't turn right because you could still get to Yacht Club that way. So then like it was weird seeing like all these construction cones blocking you. So having the NBA there, like you did, I mean, you did kind of notice some different things like that. Like I went to the Grand Floridian for breakfast one morning and saw the NBA barbershop and heard players back there talking. Like it was pretty awesome.
That's
I know Mallory talked about seeing Chris Paul.
Yeah, I told her that she's sold that she's going to tell everybody at school when she gets back here, or she's already back by the time this comes out. But yeah, totally. And because you text me like I can hear him talking over in the NBA barbershop. Because if you don't know, look at the NBA Bubble Life Twitter account, and you'll see like they've set up. It's basically kind of like a clear, I guess like a glass, clear room where it's a barbershop. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Everybody goes there. It's so cool. I need one of those like here in the neighborhood. That's sweet. Mm-hmm. So what else?
Yeah, so that was really cool. I was just commenting on the parks, like the getting your temperature checked. Like I was worried, like some mornings, like it was one morning we were together. I'm like, oh my god, like the day we went to Epcot, like it feels like 110 degrees out here, and we've been waiting in line to get in. Like my temperature is going to be super high.
We that morning we waited. Like I don't know, like if there was a change of shift at the people taking the temperatures or what, but we were probably 200 people back standing in the parking lot, and it was so hot. And this was at 11 o'clock. I mean, it was that thing. They had to have adjusted that temperature gauge because I guarantee my forehead, not on a black hat, my forehead had to have been 100 degrees. It had to
have been. But that process is super quick. I think they do a really good job. You have like those social distancing markers all over the place. People do a really good job of obeying it. Very rarely did I see someone like wearing their mask wrong. And like, I'm not going to call someone out for it. I'm not going to be that guy. Like, hey man, put it over the nose. But like, you would see cast members doing it though, and I'm sure that's probably a little uncomfortable for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I feel like they do a really good job, and I felt totally safe down there. Because we started with a 2-day trip, and just because like we were iffy on it, and then it ended up being 15 nights. That's how safe we felt, being at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, and you mentioned too getting your temperature checked. Also, some of the parks, Animal Kingdom, and I want to say who had it at the end. It wasn't the manager. I guess maybe the studios. They have that new security where you can just right through, and the only thing you got to take out is like an umbrella, metal water bottle, and like anything cylindrical.
An eyeglass case. Like Elizabeth got hit with that a couple times, so then we just stopped bringing that.
It's awesome because it's right through. I mean, I had 4 batteries in my pocket and they didn't even go off. So
yeah,
I'm all about that because it gets people.
That helped us get that boarding group when we went to the studios. If it was the old security system, we had no chance.
But they changed that now so that everybody pops up automatically on the app that's in your party. Did you see that? So
I did see that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's a great. It's like they were listening.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
But you talked earlier about like planning ADRs. So things may have changed now, or it's Labor Day now, but when we were down there, it was very limited, like what you could get. And I didn't really want to like commit to something. Like normally, I'm not a crazy ADR planner either. I know I might look like a couple days ahead. Usually if there's something I really want, like a California Grill, which we did on this trip. I don't think I've ever been to Disney and not gone to California Grill. It's our all-time favorite. But basically it was just same day stuff. I would just look. And what was really weird one day was when we were at Boardwalk, because we were close to the Swan and Dolphin. I was like, let's try that Italian restaurant there. Oh my God, the name is escaping me right now.
El Molino?
Yep. I was like, let's go to El Molino. So I saw it in the app, and then I just talked to Elizabeth to confirm, like, hey, they got a 5:30. We can just walk over there. It's going to rain. So we got, we can beat out the rainstorm. She was like, yeah, go for it. I went back and it was gone. Like none of them. So it had like every 15 minutes from like 5:30 to 8 or 9. And then I went back and they were all gone. And I feel like they probably opened and saw they had no reservations and probably closed for the day.
Probably it because of the rain. Like, nobody's coming.
Yeah, and, exactly.
We would never think about things like that, but these weird things are happening in 2020. Yeah. So you got to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah. But so before you came down you were like, yeah, we're going to do a lot of counter service. And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. I know you like doing the counter service. We like it too. We do like to do a table service for dinner, but we'll do counter service for lunch usually most of the time. But even that was like limited. When you told me that, I'm like, man, like some of Mike's favorites are not going to be open, like Casey's and like Columbia Harbor House. Like he's gonna I don't know what he's gonna do. So you got to take that into consideration. And a lot of just the table services are closed too with limited menus. I know you talked about when we went to Olivia's, like one of my favorite things off their breakfast menu wasn't there, but it's just difficult times right now. I mean, things are just tough and different, and you just got to adapt to it. And I think everyone listening to this podcast is a huge Disney fan, and we're good about adapting to that change because we know we'll be down there another time when it's fully operational. But I just love being down there. I loved just seeing cast members again and interacting with them, and especially the ones in the service. Like I like, you know, giving them bigger gratuities. Like, I don't know, I just like felt bad. Like, I know you haven't been working for so long, so I want to take care of you, you know?
Absolutely. We, you know, that's what I was going to say too, is that we noticed that, you know, like at some restaurants, you didn't have a full menu, you had a limited menu, but it felt like what you lost in, you know, choices, or, you know, all the options you have on a typical menu, which is sometimes overwhelming at some restaurants. It was totally made up for by the service we got. Cause I want to mention that because we did a couple of really special meals together. You scheduled these, we did 50s prime time again, right at park closing. We talked about this on the shows I did, so we don't have to drill it into the ground, but we also did a Liberty Tree Tavern right before the park closed of the Magic Kingdom. So we got to be the last ones out of the park, but both places we had amazing service. Sandy over at Liberty Tree Tavern, she's awesome. We are going to
we both follow her on Twitter now.
Exactly. And she's a Cardinals fan. So who knew? She knows baseball. And then also, I can't remember what was our server's name over the 50s, because that was right after I did Smuggler's Run. I was bumming, dude. So
I'm just like Mallory, man. I call him Toto.
Yeah, he was from Morocco, but this guy,
he was super awesome.
And he was, you know, like, I know they're probably not supposed to go crazy with the whole shtick over there, but he made our, you know, he really was working very hard, not only for the service to bring the food out when it's, you know, hot and suggesting good meals, but also making it, you know, making 50s what it is. And that's why you're there. He knew we're veteran travelers. Maybe that's what we expect. So, you know, it was just, the service was amazing and everybody seemed happy to just be doing their jobs.
Yeah. One thing I really haven't talked about, which I know you didn't because we didn't go here, like, I mean, we had limited time when you were down there, but was Disney Springs. And we went down there a few times, especially like after work or, you know, because we had all this extra time. And like, I really love Disney Springs. I used to not like it so much, but it's really starting to grow on me. But it was chaotic. So I went there one night with the Shine Golds. We were like, I checked out their new place, and they were like, hey, let's go to Raglan Road. And oh my God, the parking was insane. And it's because it's the only thing that's open after all the parks close.
Yeah.
Everyone just goes to Disney Springs.
Well, because you got the locals on top of people needing stuff that are staying there late at night. You got both. Yeah, competing.
Yeah. I felt like there was more people at Disney Springs than I ever saw at Epcot or Magic Kingdom, like more than a theme park. Because then all the people that had park passes for the 4 parks all are drawn there. But still was great. I had a funny thing happen. So I like looking at the D-Tech stuff. Like, I know it's not like the best quality phone cases, but I still like looking at their designs. And there's the co-op store where they have like a D-Tech station. Mm-hmm. And you know, like that is a tight, small area.
I love that store.
Yeah. So they had someone kind of like monitoring it though, making sure like, okay, we can only allow like 8 people or 2 groups in here at a time. So we waited, you know, a long time, which that's something that wouldn't normally happen, you know, like people would just like hover over each other and crowd into that tight space. So I had to wait like 10 minutes to get in there. And then I was like out in like 2 minutes, like, because I didn't see what I was looking for. So we did some more shopping. And then we left. As we were leaving, there was like 8 to 10 groups waiting to get into that spot. Like they were lined outside the door into the co-op just to go to the tech place, which I just found like really fascinating. And so so you might see like, you know, even in a store, like they're limiting capacity, or even like in a tight space like that. So you might have to wait longer than you would ever think normally, even in the stores, which might be something you might not normally think about.
Well, too, and that's one of those things you got to, you know, people going to Disney Springs and it being a little more crowded because, you know, if you think about it, if you pick Animal Kingdom for that day, here's where it really got me is that, okay, say you pick Animal Kingdom and you go, because it opened earliest, so it opened at like 8, and you get there at 8. With these low crowds, you could be done with Animal Kingdom by like a little bit after lunch. You know, you could honestly do everything you really wanted to. Cali, we even did Cali. We did Everest, you know, Flight of Passage you guys did. We did Navi. We, you know, did the safari.
We had lunch.
We had lunch. There weren't shows. You know, so we really had everything done. So say you leave Animal Kingdom at, you know, 2 or 3 o'clock. In normal times, what that means is you go back at 2 or 3 o'clock, swim at your hotel, and you'll end up at Epcot or something, or at the Magic Kingdom watching fireworks that night. But in these days, when you leave the Animal Kingdom at 2 o'clock, you are done with theme parks for that day because you have nowhere else to go. And so from 2 o'clock on, you got to entertain yourself. So you got to kind of, it's a weird thing. I mean, of course, we got everything done that we needed to get done. So that's a great day, but it was just, it's different, and it's not better, better or worse. It's just, you got to think. Cause I was like, God, 3 o'clock, what are we going to do? We're not going back. So yeah.
It's those vacations though, kind of like the promo. Going back to that promo video you talked about, it's like you actually have time to slow down, because you're not waiting in attractions as long as you would normally do. So yeah, we were done with Animal Kingdom. It was 110 degrees, like we had enough. So what did we do? We ended up riding the Skyliner, doing all this other stuff, go swimming, and then we ended up having like a nice 2.5 hour meal at like Geyser Point. We just like slow things down and relaxed, and which is kind of what vacation is all about. And I don't think I'm pretty conscious about that. And I tried to do that because we go so often now. I tried to slow down and just enjoy the resorts and things like that. But the shorter park hours really makes that happen. And if you're staying on site, you just go back to an awesome Disney resort and swim, spend time with your family, watch TV. And I think that's where having the villa plays a key role right now. You guys could have totally done that at Pop too. Like you could have just gone back and heck, you could just hang out outside at a table by the pool. The pool might be closed, but the tables are still open where you can just sit and chat and just people watch and things like that. Like it's just awesome.
Yeah, totally. Because we got about 10 minutes left. I want to get this in. So you did work there, and you were lucky enough that you took. Lucky enough, I think you planned this.
Maybe
you took your laptops and everything you needed for work. So this is an opportunity. Again, we have weird things going on in the world, but in the fall of this year, with so many students, virtual school, at least through like October, some people through Christmas, through the new year, whatever, kids could be pulled out of school because, I've heard other shows like Len was talking about it. If you got to be online, there's no reason not to be online at Pop Century's pool. You're still getting your class and you can go to the parks. So what did you learn, like, as far as the technology, as far as structuring the day, setting up the room? Like, what tips do you have since you did this now for multiple days down at Walt Disney World working there?
Yeah. So the tips I had, especially say if we like have our family, we're going to do this again. I really liked having the separating rooms. It just felt like you had your own space because Elizabeth and I, when we work at home, we're not working in the same room, Yeah. So it was nice to have like a 1-bedroom villa. And not everyone can do a 1-bedroom villa. So maybe it's going to a public area too. Like if someone has to make say if Elizabeth has a super important conference call with Jess who's in the chat or something, and like I can't hear it or whatever. Like I could just go to a public area, like go to the Pop Century food court, mobile order something or whatever, bring my laptop, and I can just respond to emails and do stuff there, like there's ways to work around it. But what the biggest thing is, like what I was kind of saying earlier, like I would just check your internet connection, like early in the day, like say you start at 8:30 or something. Don't roll out of bed at 8:15 and think, all right, I'm going to sign in and start working. Like you want to give yourself time to get set up for the day and make sure like your internet is good. So if you ran into a hiccup, that you can call that the Disney IT line,
your ticket going. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But you make a good point about the students. So like it's no secret to you, like we're going in October, and I'm thinking about expanding on how long we're down there because of that flexibility of having Emily do virtual schooling down there, or maybe like do working half days, so that we don't have to deplete all our PTO. I think you're going to see a lot more people doing that. I was talking to a lifeguard at Boardwalk. Actually, she overheard me talking to someone, how I was telling like the story kind of like right now, and she just kind of chimed in. She's like, "Oh man, you're not the first person I heard doing that. There's a lot of people that are doing that." So everyone had the same idea. Maybe it's because of your podcast. I don't know.
I don't think so, but it's an opportunity for sure. And I'll tell you, you mentioned about working in public areas, and I've had to work a lot of times on vacation, for just, not a long time, but like, check emails, call Disney for an hour, just to check up on things for guests and stuff. And I prefer to work in public areas because like, I'll find, like I said, if I'm at Pop Century, if I'm at Riverside, I'll find, I'll go down to the food court. You can always find like a corner where there's not people around you, like immediately, like a couple tables. And it's just fun. Like you said, to grab a Coke, Coke Zero, and, maybe a sweet treat out of the baker, the bakery section, and just sit there and work and watch, people arrive for vacation, people leaving for, after their vacation. Yeah. It's just fun to kind of be in it and work. It makes it a lot easier. You don't have to stay in your room. You had to get set up, but if you have to work in public areas, it's kind of a good thing.
Absolutely can. And like I did, like, I worked at Bellevue Lounge, and that was perfect. And I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this podcast do what I do. Like when I'm working, I'll sometimes play a Disney background loop, yes. Like you don't have to go to YouTube or like, some radio station. You can just walk over to the lobby and like live it. Like I had the WDW like background loop on the channel, like channel 2 or whatever, playing in the background. Like it was just so awesome. But you're absolutely right. You can just go to a public area, Like I probably wouldn't try from the parks, but I'll tell you, I did see someone in Magic Kingdom look like they were working one day in Tomorrowland.
I've seen that too. I haven't gone that far yet. Like the laptop stays in the room, but yeah, it's just I don't want to ruin my happy place. Like I have to work on vacation sometimes, but I try to get it done so I can go to the park and not have to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I have a smartphone in case of emergency.
But yeah, it worked out really well, and like I was just honestly I was nervous about the Disney Wi-Fi, and maybe as more people are coming, as the rooms are getting more full, maybe the Wi-Fi will bog down. Like I don't know, but that was just my biggest concern. Like, will I be able to keep a steady connection for an 8 to 9 hour day? And it worked out perfectly. It was awesome.
That's good to hear. So when you look back at this trip, obviously the length of the trip is going to be something that stands out. You had some great meals. You got to be in the parks when they were empty. You got to, really enjoy the amenities of these 4 different villas. Well, let me ask you this real quick before I even ask you this final question. If you had to pick one to go back, like say October, you go back, you're going to stay for a week. You're going to have to work, Monday through Friday while you're there. Is it Old Key West that you're going to pick? Or was there amenities at Wilderness Lodge? I mean, like if you had the whole picture besides the room, like which one do you pick?
That's so tough, but you hit it right there. I'm going to Old Key West. It felt more like our house, and that's not knocking the 1-bedroom at Boardwalk, but they are significantly different in size, and like the setup even is a little bit different. It just seems more roomier at Old Key West, and plus there's a nice little patio that you can like sit out. Like I worked outside one day in the villa too. It's like, I mean, I had like 3 or 4 options where I could like set up my desk, and I didn't have that at any of the other resorts. So definitely Old Key West is where I would choose to work.
All right. So final question I was going to get to. So when you look back on this trip, say 3 or 4 years from now, obviously outside of the length and all this work, like was there one fun, like surprising thing that happened, like a story or some moment that sticks out with this trip that you'll remember?
I mean, we'll always look back and see the mask photos. I mean, so we thought about this, like, do you take someone for the first time right now, like during the pandemic, like wearing the masks? And if you don't like crowds, it might be something you might want to consider. And like, it's just kind of funny, like looking back, like, oh, there we were, like in our masks. Remember our first Disney trip? Like we had these masks on. Like, I don't know. I mean, the masks, like we took so many PhotoPass photos just because just to tell that story. Like you were just saying, like when we look back 3 to 4 years from now, well, we remember like, oh my God, remember we were in front of the Tree of Life with the mask with Mike when we were like all spread out. Like, yeah.
Greatest picture ever. Yeah.
That was a great picture. But just seeing the cast members again, like you talked, like we had a great interaction with a server at Liberty Tree, Sandy, and like so much that we even reserved like to go back there again. We're going to go back and see her again in October. It's just interacting with the cast members. Like I know they have like the face shields and like we're trying to social distance, but like they're so happy to see guests, and we tried to just talk to as many as we could because I'm sure it felt so good for them to have guests coming back in the parks.
Absolutely. Well, man, it was an epic trip. So when you go down for October, I guess make sure you take something for Thanksgiving just in case you're still there.
Hey, I mean, that's a pretty good place to have a Thanksgiving dinner, right? In a 2-bedroom villa at Old Key West.
I'm saying, count me in. That sounds good to me. All right, well, Scott, we appreciate you coming on. It's always fun, and we'll do this again after the October trip and see how things have changed.
Yep, absolutely. Happy Labor Day, everyone.
All righty. Don't forget today's show brought to you by the great folks over at the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Let them book your next vacation. They have the experience and the knowledge to help you get around all these hiccups that might come up with theme park reservations, with modifications, helping you with park hours, all that good stuff. Things are changing, but we know what's going on. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And if you want a little extra content in your week, become a patron. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You get Mike in the Midwest every Thursday, a little mini podcast. It's kind of, it's just a little crazy stuff, but we have polls and discussions and photos over there. It's a good time. And I want to thank all of our patrons. You're helping us keep this show going through these rough times. And just thank you to each and every one of you. I appreciate it so very much. Don't forget to follow us on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at @BeOurGuestMike and at @BeOurGuestPod. And of course, Facebook.com/BeOurGuestPodcast and YouTube.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. All right, time to get out of here and enjoy those last few moments of summer. Oh, that's so sad. But who knows? Baseball season could be going until January, and football. Who knows? It's 2020, people. Who knows what's going to happen next? So just hang in there, get some grill on, and enjoy your Labor Day. And thank you so much for checking in with us for hashtag Scotty G. Again, follow Scott at @Scott on Twitter and Instagram too, right?
That's correct.
So check out all that. I'm at BRGuest Mike. Give us a follow, and we're going to get out of here. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Boom.
Dang, was my audio bad? Because like my connection looked like it was not good.
No, it was solid. This was a really good recording.
Okay.
The levels were really good.
You came in choppy for me the whole time.
That's weird.
Yeah.
See, that's good. Not good for you to hear it, but if it had to do that because my audio goes straight to the computer.
Yeah. Okay, good. No, it worked out. Like, man, there's so many things I want to talk about. I just kind of choked, to be honest. Like, because I was down there for 3 weeks.
Well, dude, if you have more, we could do another one next week.
Yeah, I should have just like kind of thought about it more. We'll just see. But like, man,
jot down some stuff, and we'll do another one at some point. That'd be good.
Okay.
Because these are way easy to do. Because it's just like me and you talking on the phone.
I know these are so easy, man. these are the best.
It's just like hanging out. Okay, tell everybody we said hey. I got to go watch Big Brother and see.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The HOH. All right.
All right. See you, man. See you, everybody.